Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Royalty Cut here, and in today's tutorial I'll be taking you through the process of how to draft, cut and sew this beautiful Basque long dress. If this video is a video you're interested in, please keep on watching to the end, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. So basically for this tutorial, this is the material that I'll be working with. So I have a larger quantity of crepe for the upper body, but I think I'll be making use of 1 to 1.5 yard, or approximately 1 to 1.5 yard of black crepe for the upper piece. And I have this Ankara piece you see over here for the down part, and I have 3 yards here, but I think I'll be making use of 2 yards. But to be on the safer side and for more fuller gathered, I think you should go for 3 yards. So I'll be making use of 1.5 yard of crepe and 3 yards of Ankara fabric. I'm going to be drafting the Basque effect on a paper, and after that we'll go ahead and transfer it to the main fabric to cut it out. Basically for the drafting of the upper body and also the down back area, I'll be making use of this pattern paper you see over here, and it's already unfolded just as you can see. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do right now is to draw a line that will be serving as our shoulder line. So I'm going to go ahead and impute the line here. So this is our shoulder line. So after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to impute our vertical measurement. So the first vertical measurement we'll be needing is our chest line measurement. So mine is 8 inches. I'm going to go ahead and impute 8 inches. So from the shoulder to I'll get my bust point. The bust point that I'm working with is 10 inches, just as you see me do over here. So after the 10 inches, I will impute my under bust measurement, which is 13 inches, and also my waist length, and I'm working with the waist length of 16 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend the lines. After extending the line, this is what I have here. So from the waistline, I'm going to measure from my waist to my hip what my hip length is. So from that measurement, I got 9 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and follow from the waistline too, and I'm going to go ahead and mark 9 inches at this point, and I'm going to go ahead and extend it. So after extending it, I'm going to go ahead and come over to our shoulder line. I'll divide my shoulder to shoulder measurement, which is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. So from this folded edge, I'm going to go ahead and impute 8 inches at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and connect it all the way down to this chest line that we had earlier. So after that, this is what we have. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to determine the neck width that I want to work with. So if you look at the thumbnail we had earlier, you'll notice that it is a kind of a wide neck. So from the folded edge, I'm going to be doing 3.5 inches at this point. Then for the depth, I'm going to be working with the depth of 2.5 inches, since it looks like a high neck but not that high. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this together for us to get our neck curve. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and come over to this point at our shoulder line that I marked my shoulder to shoulder measurement. I'm going to come down by 1 inch at this point. Now, after marking the 1 inch, I'm going to go in from this neck width that we have here. Remember that the sleeve part is not that wide. So I'm going to be going in from this neck width we have here. I'm going to be going in by 2 inches, just like you see me do over here. So I'm going to mark 2 inches at that point. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and extend this line that we marked here, this 2 inch we marked here. I'm going to be extending it all the way down to our chest line. So after that, I'll go ahead to mark that 1 inch directly on the new line we have, just like you see me do over here. So being said that this line now we have here has been eliminated, it does not have any use again. So I'm going to go ahead and connect from this 1 inch I marked here all the way down to this point for our shoulder slope. I don't know if it is visible enough. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and measure what I have from this 1 inch all the way down to our chest line, and I have 7 inches here. I'll divide the 7 inches into 2, making it 3.5 inches. I'll mark it down. At the point that I have 3.5 inches, I'm going to be coming in inward this way by half of an inch. So at the chest line we have here, remember that this is our chest line, I'm going to go ahead and divide my round bust measurement. So for me, I'm working with the round bust of 36. 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. So at this chest line I have here, I'm going to go ahead and impute 9 inches at this point. And after that, I'm just going to go ahead and connect these 3 lines together. So from this half of an inch, I'll connect to this point. Then from this half of an inch, I'll connect it into this line that you see over here. So that we've gotten our armhole curve, and this is what it is looking like. Now the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to come over to our bust point line. I'm going to go ahead and impute the same 9 inches because the measurement we are supposed to impute at this bust point is still our round bust measurement. So we've already done that at the chest line. So I'm going to re-impute the 9-inch to back at the bust point line that you see over here, and I'll be adding extra 1 inch seam allowance to both the chest line and to the bust point. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it together just like you see me do over here. So after that, I'll come over to our underbust line. I'm going to go ahead and measure my round underbust. Go ahead and measure yours. Mine is 30 inches. So 30 inches divided by 4 is 7.5. So I'm going to go ahead and input 7.5 at our underbust line this way. And I'm going to be replacing the 1 inch we had for our seam allowance. Now for connecting it, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it this way, just like you see me do here. So just make sure that the lines are equal, just like you see here. So after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do is to come over to my waist measurement. So for my round waist, I have the round waist of 31 inches. So 31 inches divided by 4 is 7.75. So I'm just going to go ahead and input 7.75 at our waistline, and I'll also go ahead and input 1 inch for the seam allowance. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect the lines together, just like you see me do over here. So after that, this is what we have. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come over to this point for us to work on the Basque effect that we have at our dress. So from the waistline that we have here, I'm going to be coming down by 5 inches, just like you see me do over here. I marked 5 inches at this point. I'll also go ahead and mark 5 inches too at this other point, or at the end of the paper. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend the lines together. So after extending the 5 inch, this is what we have. Now I'm going to remeasure what I have from the 5 inch all the way down to the full length. So I have about 4 inch here, which I think is perfect. So after that, the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to divide our round hip measurement into 4. So mine is 42 inches. 42 inches divided by 4 is 10.5. So at this point that I marked the 5 inch that I extended, I'm going to be marking the 10.5 inches at this point, and I'll be adding extra 1 inch for seam allowance. So after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to connect from this waistline all the way down to this round hip measurement we have here in a curvy way. Now you don't have to connect it straight because we want to have a hip curve at the end of the day. So this is what I did for it. Now after that, remember we have 4 inches from that 5 inch all the way down to our hip length. What I'm going to go ahead and do for us to get that Basque effect, I'll be connecting from this measurement that I have at our hip line all the way down to the tip of this hip line that we marked here. So just watch what I'm doing. So I did that in a very straight way. So after that, this is what we have for the Basque effect. I don't know if you can see. So I'm just going to go ahead and work on the dart of this upper body. Now remember that we already added 1 inch to our waistline. Now I'm going to go ahead and input my nipple to nipple measurement. So mine is 8 inches. From the right nipple to the left nipple is 8 inches. Go ahead and divide 8 inches into 2. So mine is 4 inches. I'm going to go ahead and input 4 inches at our waistline, 4 inches at our underbust line, and 4 inches at our bust point. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this together after imputing it in a straight way. So after that, the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is at the waistline, I'm going to be coming in and out from the bust span line that we marked by half of an inch, inward and outward. Now we want to get a dart. So I'll be connecting this half of an inch back into the center line that we have here, just the normal way you create your dart effect. So after that, this is that for the dart. So when we come over to this point, we are going to go ahead and input our bust dart too. So for the bust dart, just go ahead and get your half length for your back. So for your back, just measure from your shoulder to your waist length for you to get your half length. After doing that, you will notice that your front half length and your back half length is not the same. So for me, my back half length is 15, while my front half length is 16, just like I marked it. So since the back half length is 15 inches, now the difference between the front and the back piece is 1 inch. So at this bust point line, remember that this is our chest line and this is our bust point line. At the bust point line, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. I don't know if you can see. So if your own difference is 2 inch or 1.5, whatever the difference for your back half length and your front half length is, just come down with the number at the bust point here. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and connect this 1 inch I marked under our bust point at this point that we created our dart. I don't know if it is visible. So this is that for it. Now remember, we already have 1 inch at our dart at this point. So while sewing it is still going to be removing 1 inch from our normal body measurement. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is to replace the 1 inch. So since we have 1 inch at the waist and 7.5 inches at the under bust, I'm just going to go ahead and replace it. So I replaced 1 inch at the waist and 7.5 inches at our under bust. I just measured what I have in between here. So we are just going to go ahead and create a new line. So I'm going to be connecting it just like you see me do over here. So when I get to this point, I'll just try to blend it back in into the 1 inch we already marked earlier for our upper body. So basically this is it for the upper body. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this piece out. So watch closely the way that I'm cutting this piece for you not to make a mistake while cutting yours. Basically at this point, after cutting this out, this is what we have. I don't know if it is visible enough to you. So after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do right now is to open this up this way. Just as you can see, now we have our front piece ready. So if you want your own back area to be much longer, just go ahead and increase the number of place to back seat. For me, mine was just 4 inches. But if you want it to be a little bit longer, you can choose to add more inches and slant from the 5 inches all the way down. This is our waist area, remember. So this is the waist area. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut open this waist area this way. So it's just like disconnecting the skate part of it away from the upper body. So this is the upper body that we have, and this is the skate back effect of it. So let's go ahead and draft the back piece of this dress. So for the back piece of this dress, I went ahead to fold my fabric into two, just as you can see. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 1 inch starting from this point. Now remember that our back is going to be slitted. So whether you start from the folded edge or from the open edge, it doesn't really matter. All you just have to do is to make sure that you have your 1 inch accurately. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure 1 inch inward for our zipper. So at this point now, I'll be measuring 1 inch. Measuring 1 inch, this is what I have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring the front upper body that we cut out. I'm going to be placing it directly at this line. I have my 1 inch, just as you can see. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to reduce the back half length. Remember that the back half length is 15 inches and the front half length is 16 inches. So what I'm going to do at this point is to cut the sides to be equal first. Then we'll go ahead and subtract 1 inch from the full half length. Now at the end of the day, when we close up this 1 inch we have here, you will notice that the front and the back piece is going to be equal. So let's just go ahead and cut the sides to be equal. After cutting this off, this is what we have. I don't know if it is visible enough. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to subtract 1 inch from the full length, just like I told you earlier. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold in 1 inch at our front line. So I'm just trying to show you the simplest method to do that. So I have 1 inch here. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim off the 1 inch all the way down to the basic body that we have, just like you see me do here. So be careful while cutting this so as not to cut both the front piece. So after that, this is what we have. As you can see, the front is longer than the back piece. But when we close up this 1 inch we have here, you see that both the front piece and the back piece will be the same thing. Now this is it for the front and the back piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and slit open the back piece and also notch the 1 inch for the zipper allowance, just like you see me do over here. So the front and the back neckline was the same thing. So you can choose to change yours if you don't want it to be the same. So after that, let's go ahead and work on the zipper part of our top. So at the waist length here, I'm going to share this 1 inch that we have here into two. Now we want to contour our zip to avoid zip bulging. So I'm going to go ahead and share this 1 inch into two this way. And I have that is half of an inch on both sides. So from this 1 inch, I'm going to go ahead and slant it outward this way. I don't know if you can see. So this half of an inch now is to avoid bulging, just like I said before. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, starting from the way that I placed the line earlier. And after that, I'll go ahead and slit open this other part. So our two back piece is ready, just as you can see. So let's go ahead and place this aside for us to work on our front back line. So basically for the down part, I went ahead to add extra 1 inch to the cutting for the zipper, just like we did for the upper side. So this is the front and this is the back. The sides are equal. I just added 1 inch at the center front for our back piece. Now after that, the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to come in at this waist area. This is our waist area, so I'm going to go ahead and divide the same 1 inch into two. We want to avoid zip bulging at all costs, so I'm going to divide this 1 inch into two, leaving about half of an inch on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and slat this half of an inch outward this way. I don't know if you can see, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So after that, this is that for our back piece, so let me just write it back, and this is our front. So let's just go ahead and place all this fabric directly on our material and cut it out. Okay, at this point, I was done cutting the pattern paper directly on the fabric, just as you can see here. So this is the down part of it. So for this down part, I left about ½ inch at this back place for joining the Ankara piece to it. So just add half of an inch to that down part. So I did that for the two front and back piece, and this is it for the upper body. So let's go ahead and unpin this front piece away from the fabric so that we can get the dart directly on our main piece. So opening it up, this is what we have. So for the neck area of both the front piece and the back piece, you can choose to use a bias for it, or you can choose to use a facing to turn over the neck area. So this is what we have for this part. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is to replicate whatever that intake that I did on this pattern paper. I'm going to go ahead and replicate it directly on our fabric. I don't know if you understand. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this in, fold my fabric into two. After doing that, opening this up, this is what we have. I don't know if you can see. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is to apply the dart that I have here. So I'm going to be picking the center part of this way, and I'll use a half of an inch on both sides to stitch it. And I'll also go ahead and do the same thing, pick the center and use a half of an inch on both sides to stitch it. And when I come over to this place, to this bust dart, I'm going to be picking from this point. I'll be folding this 1 inch in. Now I'm going to pick it this way, and I'll sew directly on the two lines. And after that, I'll show you what to do next. I'll also use a bias at the neck area. So for this back piece, the only thing I'll be attaching to this back piece is the dart. So the dart at the sides is not included. So I'm going to only attach the dart at the center, but I'll not be attaching a bust dart to the back piece. So basically at this point, I was done attaching the dart to both the front piece, the bust dart, as you can see. I don't know if it is visible, and the other dart. This is what it is looking like at the wrong side. I also went ahead to fold the neck area with a bias, and also the armhole area. I folded it because remember it's a sleeveless, so you wouldn't want it to be that rough. I also attached the dart of the back piece, just as you can see this way, and also the dart of the other one. So let's go ahead and place this aside and bring the down piece that we are working with. So this is the down piece of the front piece. So I'm going to go ahead and unpin it away from our paper this way. So I'm going to place this paper aside. I'm going to bring the front upper body this way, and I'm going to be placing this waist area right side facing each other with the upper piece. I don't know if you can see. So this is what it should looking like. Now you should notice that there is a little bit excess at the down part of it. So what you just have to do is to notch both the center of the upper body and the center of the down piece, so that we'll know where exactly we'll start placing the down piece from. So the excess was due to the dart that we placed on top of the upper body. So I'm just going to go ahead and notch the center part of this upper body. I'll also go ahead and notch the center part of this down piece that we have here. So after notching it, I'm going to be placing those sides that have the notched area, right side placing each other this way. So after that, I'm just going to pin it. Make sure that the notched area is facing the notched area. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it down. So after pinning it, I'll be using about half of an inch to join the two upper body together. So from this point down to the other point, I'll be joining it with half of an inch. So I'm also going to go ahead and do the same thing for the back piece that we have here. So this is the back piece. I'm going to go ahead and unpin this back piece too. Make sure you notch your zipper allowance area on your paper. Make sure you notch it for you to identify which side that is actually facing the zipper part. So for this back piece that we have here, make sure that the zipper allowance of the down part is facing the neck area when you place it right side facing each other, just like you see me do over here. This zipper allowance is facing the neck area. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it down because we'll be joining it to with half of an inch. I'm also going to go ahead and do the same thing for this other piece. After that, I'm going to use half of an inch to join it together. So basically at this point, I was done joining each piece to the back piece, and this is what the front is looking like. I don't know if it is visible enough. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to bring the two back piece. This is the two back piece that we have here. I'm going to be placing it right side facing each other, making sure that the zipper area is facing each other this way. I don't know if you can see. So I'm going to be using a pin to hold in 1 inch. Now remember that that 1 inch is for zipper. So I'm going to use a pin to hold it in so that we can go ahead and shape in the sides. After pinning in the 1 inch for our zipper, I'm going to go ahead and open up the front piece, place it right side facing each other because we'll be joining the shoulders and the sides now. So I'm going to be placing it this way. I'm going to be using about half of an inch to join the two shoulders. And also remember we used 1 inch for seam allowance, or we attached 1 inch while sewing for ease. So I'm going to go ahead and input 1 inch from the armhole area down to this back area. I'll also go ahead and do the same thing for this other side. So basically at this point, I was done joining the sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and unpin the pin that we used to join the 1 inch of our zipper. And I'm going to go ahead and open it up this way to the right side, just as you can see. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to get the inches that we'll be making use of for the gathers that we need. So for that, we'll be needing the length of this back piece, starting from this point of our zipper all the way down. So we are going to go ahead and measure it. For me, after measuring mine, I got 49.5. That's 49.5 inches from this 1 inch all the way down to the other inch. So let's just go ahead and work on the Ankara piece of our fabric. So for the Ankara, this is what we'll be making use of. So remember that the width of our upper body is 49.5. So I'm going to be doing 49.5 times 2. That's, it depends on how full you want yours to be. So for me, I think I don't want it to be that full. But if you feel like you want it to be full, all you just have to do is to make sure that your Ankara piece is much wider, that the width is much wider than the round width you got after measuring the upper body. I don't know if you understand. Since mine is 49.5, I'm going to be making sure that the Ankara I will be making use of is very much wider than 49.5, so that when I gather it, it will be able to give me a full gather at the end of the day. So let's just go ahead and measure mine. So basically, I went ahead to fold these 3 yards that I have here into 4 so that it can fit our camera. It's into 4 here. So let me just measure what I have from this end all the way to the other end. Okay, I have 27 inches. So I'm going to be making use of all the whole 3 yards for the width so that I can get a fuller part. So for the length of your Ankara, remember that we have our ½ inch, that's from our shoulder to our waist by 16, and we added 9 inches from our waist to the hip length is 9 inches. That will make it 16 plus 9 inches is 25 inches. Now the full length of the dress that I'm working with is 63 inches. So all you just have to do is to subtract that 25 inches away and get the full length of your Ankara or the full length of your gown. So 25, and I'm working with 63 inches. So I think the end of my tape will do the trick. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excess that I have at this point. I'm going to trim it off. After cutting out the excess, just as you can see. Now before we run a gather at the upper body, we are going to be folding the down part. Make sure you fold your whole Ankara at the down part before you run your gathers upward for it to be easier for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up, just as you can see. And I'm going to be running a loose stitch for our gathers. Now if you have a chip for gathers, just go ahead and use it. I'm going to be running a loose stitch all the way down to the end of this fabric, and I'm going to gather it up to the 45.5 inches that we measured. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you how we'll attach it directly to our fabric. So basically at this point, I was done attaching my gathers to the Ankara piece. I don't know if it is visible enough. So this is what I have here. So I'm just trying to arrange the gathered area for you to sit properly. Now I'm going to place this together for me to get the center part. Now you can choose to notch this, but while notching it, be careful so as not to cut out the thread. If not, your gathers will lose. So for me, I'm going to be using a marker to identify the center, just like you see me do over here. So I'm going to open it up too. I'm going to open it up this way. I'll also go ahead and fold our upper body. I'll fold the pointed part to the other side just for you to be equal. Then I'll also go ahead and notch the center. So at this point, after notching the center, I use the check for mine. So what I'm going to go ahead and do right now is to place our upper body right side facing each other with our Ankara piece. So I'm going to make sure that those parts that I identified at the center is facing each other, just like you see me do over here. Now I'm going to be using 1/2 inch to stitch from this end all the way down to this end. Then I'll use 1/2 inch to stitch from this end all the way down to the other end. Now be careful so as to follow the shape of our upper body, because we want at the end of the day for us to get that Basque effect. So just go ahead and do yours to the end, from the center then to the other end. And after that, I'll go ahead and attach my zipper to the back piece, because this our car will be extending to the back. So we'll go ahead and attach our zipper to our back piece. So basically at this point, I was done attaching the upper body and the Ankara down piece together. So this is what we have here. I don't know if you can see. Now the last thing that is remaining for this dress that we are making is to attach our zipper. So you're going to go ahead and fold your fabric together. The normal way you attach your zipper to your dress, that's just the same way you are going to be attaching this one. So you have to determine where you want your zipper to be. So normally your zipper should reach your hip length so that it will be able to pass your hip. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and insert mine to my desired point, and I'll go ahead and use about 1 inch to shaping the down part of this dress. And basically that will be the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. See you in our next video. Bye.